Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. I'm Ashley McDowell. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. More supplies have arrived for COVID-19 response. Also tonight, leaders come together online for Day 2 of the Fiscal Response Summit. And a special Board of Education meeting is held to discuss funding. Stay with us. These stories and more are next.
We are with you. At times when you need us most, you can count on us to be there. When you need someone to talk to. When you need to stay informed. When you need to brighten your day. When you need to stay connected. We are here keeping our promise that while the world is changing, we keep working so you can keep connecting. We are your Docomo Pacific family, and we are here to help.
Hafa Day, Tirwami, and good evening, Commonwealth. Today is Friday, April 24th, 2020. More material has arrived for COVID-19 response. Take a listen.
Today, this morning, we received additional test kits from South Korea. We also received a PCR machine, a dry ice machine to prepare us for our community-based testing that we are expecting to fully launch Monday. Sites will be shared out over the weekend, and we will be providing more details in regards to our testing, community-based testing efforts that we're doing.
That will provide COVID-19 testing to those who want to be tested. Villagomez says they are still waiting on the remaining 20,000 test kits from South Korea.
We are also getting more viral transport media (VTM) from South Korea, so that puts us in a good administration effort to go out and plan out for community-based testing for next week.
As of today, April 24th, there have been 14 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Sinamai. 241 people have been released from quarantine. 11 have recovered from the virus, and 2 have died, according to the CHCC COVID-19 website. Villagomez says the medical care and treatment site located at the back of the hospital is almost complete, which will act as the COVID-19 site until Kanoa Resort is finished.
We are at 99% completion today, Friday, for our MCAT site. We are very hopeful and we're looking forward for Saturday, tomorrow's opening. So that's great. That's good news for CHCC and the task force while we continue our efforts to continue construction at Kanoa Resort, and that is expected to be completed in about 2.5 weeks. So that's also within the target date and time for us to have a facility and to be able to administer COVID-19 care at Kanoa.
Leaders come together as they try to correct the finances of the Commonwealth. It's the CNMI Fiscal Response Summit. KSPN Sally Lemus has more.
The CNMI faces a $65 million shortfall in revenue for fiscal year 2020, and leaders have agreed to work together, looking for solutions to relieve the island's deficit.
Today we are working toward accomplishing something new. We are for the first time trying to right the direction of the Commonwealth's finances after accumulation of obligations, expenses, and practices that have been left unchecked since the Trust Territory government, which we came from.
Senate President Victor Hokog recommends taking another look at the size of the CNMI government and possibly merging some departments and programs.
I have several proposals that I would like to share to the working group for them to consider during their discussion with all parties involved. That will definitely help us with what we're trying to accomplish in moving forward with the government operation. I would also ask the working group to have a properly budget our law enforcement department and either provide adequate funding for overtime or hire more officers to protect our community. And the other one is I would like also to see the need to leverage technology in government, as we should have a Department of Information Technology to reduce manual processes and go paperless when having to route documents.
Hokuk also stresses the need to require the CNMI government to open up a rainy day fund for emergencies.
Must put politics aside and strive to reform government to be efficient and effective when we can provide quality public services to our people and to the residents of the Commonwealth.
Representing the judicial branch, Chief Justice Alex Castro expresses his gratitude for the involvement in the summit, even though their duty is limited in financial decisions of the Commonwealth.
This summit has set in motion an effort for us to unite and address the current crisis for the good of our Commonwealth. Because we, as a government body, exist by the consent of our people and hold the highest duty to protect our people's right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Chief Justice Castro says the recent 48% budget cut has affected the judicial branch greatly.
Effectively shuts down the third branch of government on Rota, Tinian, and Saipan. Our fiscal projection indicates that it would be an impossibility for the court to perform its constitutional duties and statutory duties. No one will be left to supervise the probationers. The drug court will cease to exist. The family court division services will come to a complete halt. The public will no longer have access to official land documents in the recorder's office. The doors of the Tintinian and Centrum Justicia Luta will be closed to our people. Shutdown cannot, and I will not let it be an option for the third branch of this government. The people need the court system to seek justice, preserve human dignity, and to uphold law and order, peace, and good governance.
The 5-day summit continues with 2 working groups that will begin with their deliberations. Stay with KSPN as we continue to follow this story. I'm Sally Limis reporting for KSPN News.
The Sinai Public School System staff is beginning to pay back employees as they negotiate with the government. Sally Limis reports.
During a special board meeting on Wednesday, Board of Education members have agreed to sit down with the governor within the next few days for negotiation regarding funds and the filed injunction. The agreement began before a unanimous vote to approve a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Education to borrow $5 million from the Marianas Public Land Trust.
I know that I read that letter, your statement about the injunction with the governor is willing to sit down with us because time is so critical and a lot of our employees are really suffering. If we can get an appointment with the governor to sit down and see how much can he give us, how fast can he give us, and we will start thinking in negotiating in that line because it's really hurting us. And the injunction hearing is in June. We can think about that, and if he's willing to sit down with us, let's do it. But let's also do MPOT. So whichever comes first, we'll take it because we really need it. We cannot wait another day, another week or month. We really need it like yesterday so we can pay because payroll is this week, so we're missing 3.5 payroll, and they really need it. So I would suggest that we go forth and try our very best we can.
I also am willing to sit down with the governor. I've never been afraid to meet with the governor. So it's just you, Chair, you've been meeting with him regularly. We haven't been invited to those meetings, but I would love to sit down with the governor to see what he has to offer at this point. But I would applaud, like Kimbo says, to meet right away to see if they can transfer to us. Thank you, Chair.
PSS legal counsel Tiberius Mocano says there is no guarantee that MPLT will approve the loan, but history shows that exceptions have been made in the past.
Do we meet the eligibility requirements for the loan to be issued? As I understand the regulations, I think there's a clear constitutional mandate that says that any agency or instrumentality of the government is not permitted to borrow money of any kind in order to fund its operations. And paying its people or giving them a benefit is certainly it certainly meets the definition of operations. That being said, there has been precedent over time where MPLT has in fact funded operations for different government entities. Most recently, the $15 million loan he gave to the government, and that was in reliance on an Attorney General's opinion that found that the devastation and the financial deficit caused by U2 was extraordinary, and that allowed the government to borrow money in order to continue its operations, as well as in previous instances, CHCC was able to borrow money to fund payroll and other things. So the bottom line is this is not a question that I can answer as to whether it's permissible or not permissible. I can simply give you the facts that I think the law is clear, that operations are not to be funded. And at the same time, I can tell you that MPLT has made exceptions, but those are exceptions that MPLT will have to clarify as to what it's willing to do or not to do.
BOE has amended the resolution for PSS to borrow $5 million instead of the $3.4 million discussed in previous meetings.
With the payroll loan, we need payroll loan including the 2 days that the employees work prior to going on furlough status and this upcoming pay period where they're going to get paid 72 hours. We need $3.4 million. Accounts payable in response to Board Member Marilu, we need $3.9 million. But the pay, I don't have that figure right now, but it's roughly 300,000, 270 to 300,000 that we need to pay our teachers. So we're looking at
about 8 million.
Yeah, about 8 million.
Okay. Let's go for 5. Really, you guys. I don't think MPOT will grant 8 million with the coming from the Stabilization Act. We're gonna use up all the 12 million.
I know. So how will we do with the summer pay?
Well, how much do you need for to keep everybody current and the summer period? Remember, there's money coming in from other sources.
After discussion, the board finalized the resolution for a loan amounting to $5 million and will repay MPLT within 5 business days once it receives the money from the CARES Act. As for payroll, PSS staff will be given the 30% owed.
As of this morning, we received a fund transfer in the amount of 500,000. Also, Madam Chair, Jesus Maki for bringing this money to us. Like I advised the Commissioner, PSF needs immediate relief. We need to pay our employees now. We need to end their pain and suffering. We need to do everything necessary, and it's really refreshing to hear the board coming together to make that happen. Whatever alternatives we support. The bottom line is we owe our employees. We must pay our employees. Not a month from now, not next year, not until May 25th when we receive our 12.6 million. We're supposed to pay them 2 pay periods ago, a pay period ago, this coming pay period. But anyways, going back to Commissioner and Madam Chair, the chair informed us that the government was going to send us $500,000. We received that $500,000. Now, depending, and the chair also mentioned that the government may transfer additional funds, which we hope will happen because, again, like I mentioned at yesterday's meeting, we owe our employees 275%. That's $3.4 million that we need to pay these employees. And it is really hard, finance gets calls from our employees. We heard their pleas and cries, and we don't know how to respond to it. So it is really good to hear that we're going to be meeting, or the board's going to be meeting with the government. I with board member Marilu, we should do this sooner. That they can transfer money to us and put this behind us, make our employees whole, and pay them what we owe them.
In Washington, D.C., the Paycheck Protection Program and the Health Care Enhancement Act are now off to President Trump for signature. The U.S. House of Representatives passed the spending bill responding to the impacts of COVID-19. The Payroll Protection Program allows for small businesses and nonprofits to keep paying staff. The bill was replenished with $310 billion. 3 lenders in the Marianas are participating in the program: Bank of Hawaii, Bank of Guam, and First Hawaiian Bank, according to the U.S. Small Business Administration. According to Congressman Gregorio Kalili Sablan, businesses that receive the 1% loans must repay them within 2 years. But if an employer uses the money to keep or rehire employees at their current wage, the loans will be completely forgiven. 75% must be used specifically on payroll, while 25% of the loans may be used for rent, utilities, and other business costs. Sablan states he will be posting the PPP application form onto his office website at sablan.house.gov and onto his social media pages. The House bill also added $100 billion for healthcare, $75 billion will be used for personal protective equipment and other resources to frontline healthcare workers and hospitals. And $25 billion was added for testing. Congressman Sablan says 21 days after the enactment of the bill, the administration will be required to report on coronavirus testing with data on demographic characteristics and numbers and rates of cases, deaths, and individuals admitted to the hospitals. Excessive concentrations of bacteria have been located on certain areas of Tinian. According to the Bureau of Environmental and Coastal Quality, samples were collected from 10 locations on Tinian's recreational beaches this week. Of those samples contained excessive concentrations of fecal indicator bacteria, Enterococci, were found that exceeded the CNMI marine water quality standards. According to BECQ, the bacteria can indicate the presence of human and animal waste in the water. And studies have shown stormwater runoff may also contain the bacteria from the natural environment. BECQ has given the areas a red flag and advises the public not to swim or fish within 300 feet of the locations for the next 48 hours or until further notice. Samples were also collected this week from Saipan with no results of excessive bacteria. BECQ gave a green flag to all 36 locations that were tested on the west side of Saipan. Coming up, CPA Board of Directors are giving some relief to their tenants. Find out more after the break.
Mom, are you sure? What about the shutters? And do you have your medicine?
Don't worry about us, love, okay? You take good care of yourself. I'm in love. Yeah, sorry. The power went out, so I had to light up all the candles. Yeah. Yes, baby, yeah. I'm just glad our home phone's working and we're able to contact you.
Welcome to the Marianas Eye Institute. Our office on Beach Road is staffed with U.S. certified eye care technicians, doctors that have received national recognition, and a friendly, professional staff that will look after you and your loved ones. With over 1,200 eyeglass frames to choose from and an in-house lab, we can make most glasses in about an hour. And we even feature a mobile clinic to bring eye care to you. Keep your eyes healthy and strong with professional eye care at the Marianas Eye Institute.
Welcome back to the Channel 2 News. Those working or traveling home from work during curfew hours will now have to carry a proper ID. According to the Department of Public Safety, there has been an increase in vehicles driving through roadways during curfew hours. The operators of these vehicles are claiming to be heading to or from work. DPS officials are asking businesses that operate during the curfew hours to have their employees carry a form of work identification as they are making their way to and from work. DPS states this will better aid officers for on-the-spot verification. DPS officials are also asking businesses to provide a point of contact that is reachable during the hours of 7 p.m. and 6 a.m., validifying the employee is on the road due to work. Mandatory traffic stops on vehicles driving the roadways during the curfew hours will continue. The Commonwealth Ports Authority is providing some relief to their tenants. Take a listen. The Commonwealth Ports Authority Board of Directors held a meeting this week and agreed to provide rent relief to their tenants due to the negative financial impact from COVID-19.
From the onset of, in the beginning when the airport adjusted airport operations to be very limited, basically because we didn't have any international flight arrivals. All our tenants were impacted because of the lack of passenger arrival and just the general flow of traffic at the port. And we started receiving letters from our tenants requesting for relief, whether it be via deferment or an outright waiver. Initially, we were talking about giving deferment of payments, but I personally didn't like that because, for one, it's basically, digging a bigger hole for people who are already in a hole because they're not collecting any revenues. And so the proposal basically was to waive payment, 3-month payment for all our tenants, for all 3 islands at both the seaport and the airport, and then to have subsequent payments be discounted for the remainder of the fiscal year. And we want our tenants to be able to come out of this situation some sort of sustainable footing, so that when we do open the borders, we're able to fire up the economy as quickly as possible.
The tenants include:
we have 50 tenants at the airport, 37 tenants at the seaport. These include, for example, the car rentals, the airlines, concessions such as food and beverage, and other types of concession services that's connected to the travel industry at the airport.
Hines says the rent relief will occur over the next 6 months, with rent waived completely for the months of April, May, and June. Tenants will receive a 50% rental discount for July, 40% discount for August, and a 30% discount for September. After that, CPA Board of Directors will reconvene to discuss rent relief beyond September.
The proposal basically just carries us up to the end of the fiscal year, and that will allow us to, assess the situation further, and if need be, continue with a discounted rate, or if possible, and our finances allow for it, grant further relief to the tenants who are basically in the same situation as CPA is, right? If you don't have any plane landings, CPA is not collecting any revenues to be able to sustain operations. And if we're not sustaining our operations, we can't expect them to be able to sustain their operations as well, given the fact that there's just no customers, flying in and availing of whatever services that they are offering. And so CPA is not opposed to, going back to the table and reconsidering given circumstances.
Flights are scheduled to start back up in May and following, but Hines says they don't foresee airlines from Asia resuming in the near future.
United Airlines will resume services, and from what we've been advised, they will resume the 4 days a week morning flights beginning May 2nd. As to whether or not they are able to maintain those numbers of regularly scheduled flights will probably depend on the passenger load, and given the fact that most of our Asian markets are still on lockdown relatively, and travel at this point in time is discouraged, we don't foresee that they will resume services to the Marianas in the near future. The fact that we still have that 14-day mandatory quarantine, which is a critical component to ensuring that we don't, that we contain the spread of COVID, that will likely continue to discourage leisure travel, which, is important at this time, given the fact that there is no vaccine. And we are still working on basically trying to contain and isolate whatever number of confirmed cases that we do have in the CNMI.
Coming your way after the break is the weather report. Stay tuned.
We are with you. At times when you need us most, you can count on us to be there. When you need someone to talk to. When you need to stay informed. When you need to brighten your day. When you need to stay connected. We are here keeping our promise that while the world is changing, we keep working so you can keep connecting. We are your Docomo Pacific family, and we are here to help.
At one of Saipan's beaches, this mother lays about 100 eggs under the cover of darkness. She hides her nest as best she can and then slowly makes her way back to the ocean. The eggs hatch and the babies head for the sea, where they will face a daily dose of danger. Just 1 in 1,000 will make it to adulthood. Those that do will one day lay their own eggs. Sea turtles are protected under CNMI law. If you see one that is stranded, or if you see illegal activity, call the hotline at 287-8537.
My family is on whole home Wi-Fi powered by Plume.
Since we installed the Docomo whole home Wi-Fi, what did you guys notice about it?
When you pull up the driveway, it automatically connects, and I don't have to get out of my car right away and come upstairs to go on my phone. My favorite thing is that it doesn't buffer when I'm watching YouTube.
My favorite thing is that when Addie calls now, there's no lag. Like before, it used to be where I couldn't see her sometimes and I have to hang up and then call her back, and now I don't have to do that.
You know what's a good thing too is that when you come over to visit, I could give you your own password. I can assign a time limit so that I can say that you can only be on it for 1 hour, so that means you won't get in trouble from your mom.
And then you could go home.
The thing that I love the most is that I can freeze the internet for periods of time so that we can enjoy dinner time like this. Why are you rolling your eyes? So I'll turn it back on after dinner.
Whole home Wi-Fi powered by Plume. Docomo Pacific, better together.
And here is your weather report. Today we have a high of 90, a low of 77, 61% humidity. Tomorrow partly cloudy with isolated light showers, east winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow we'll have a high of 89, a low of 78, seas 4 to 6 feet. High tide at 8:10 a.m., low tide at 3:14 p.m. Sunrise is at 5:57 a.m. and sunset is at 6:33 p.m. Thank you for watching the KSPN2 newscast. Have a great and safe rest of your weekend.